Hello everyone, welcome to the last part of this topic related to the application. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier for the application, I'm going to discuss some case studies, mainly focusing on the water quality for the irrigation. Okay, okay. So the first case study, I just want to give you some background of this study. So the main purpose of this study to assess the water quality for irrigation, and the study area is in South India, particularly on the Villupuram region. And the methods adopted for this study, they use geochemistry to collect the data, geochemical data, and they use some indices, which was discussed in the part two, various water quality indices. They also using some geochemical parts and finally GIS. Okay, so what is the outcome of this study? From this study, they are able to identify the vulnerable zone for irrigation quality water. That is the main focus of the study. Okay. Okay, so before move on to the results and the findings, I just want to give some glance on the study area and the geology. This is the study area map, okay, and this all the dots on the sample was collected. And look on the geology. This is too complex geology because why geology is so important for the groundwater? As I mentioned at the beginning, the groundwater is a very close contact with the surrounding rocks and minerals, so it can easily dissolve and getting all the minerals and the elements that go into the groundwater, so that will affect the groundwater quality. Okay, but this study area which I am showing now is the very complex geology. In top of that, this why they pick this topic, because this area is very prone to agriculture areas. Okay, that means that the most of the the community in these regions, they are actively involved in the agriculture. So that's why the researchers are very curious how this water quality is impact on their agriculture activity. Okay. Okay, so this is the overall methodology flow chart. Uh, as you can see from the left side, they start with the field work and the data collection. From the field work, they collecting all the groundwater sample in the possible locations. After the sample collection, they went for the chemical analysis in order to produce the chemical data, and after that they try to derive some agriculture quality parameters, which I explained to you before. These are the water quality indices that I discussed: electrical conductivity, sodium percentage, SAR, PI, RSC, Kelly's ratio, and so on. Okay, so what actually they did is, for each and every indices, they produce a spatial maps. Okay, so for each parameter, they produce a spatial maps with respect to the seasons, because the sample has been collected in four different seasons, like pre-monsoon, post-monsoon, northeast monsoon, and southwest monsoon, because they want to identify the spatial and temporal variation of water quality. Okay, so after they produce the map for the individual indices, they're using some fuzzy logic technique. Okay, the fuzzy logic is a kind of a mathematical derivation, is the inbuilt with the GIS. Okay, so from that they assign some membership values for each and every indices, and after that they overlay all the maps. Okay, they overlay all the maps, they produce the final irrigation quality map. Okay, so this is the workflow how they achieve the outcomes from the study. This is the results of the chemical analysis. As you can see here, they analyze all the major ions, including the physical parameters in four different seasons. Okay, and one of the beauty of this study, even though they follow these existing indices, they come up with a new irrigation plot. Okay, it look like a trinary plot. As you can see, a trinary plots. How it works, because the main motivation is the researchers want to come up with a comprehensive plots for the irrigation quality, because there are so many indices. Every indices they given a different observation. So the researchers want to give a comprehensive plots that give you overall condition of the irrigation water quality. So what they did, they picked the three main indices like SAR, sodium percentage, and permeability index. Out of all the indices, these three indices are more important and the prime controls for the irrigation water quality, right? Because this SAR and sodium is mostly on the salinity, okay, and PI is a permeability index, okay. So this directly impact the soil quality. That's why they pick these three. In top of that, they also consider the EC, electrical conductivity, okay. So by using this all the four parameter, they build up this trinary plot. In the trinary plot, they subdivided the various zones based upon the parameter they selected. So you can see these are good, moderate, doubtful, unsuitable. And you can see these are the sample has been plotted. You can clearly see how the distribution of the samples. It is mostly plotted in the good and moderate, and few samples in the doubtful and unsuitable condition. So from that you can easily demarcate the sample that are not suitable for the irrigation. And this is the vulnerable spots using the GIS. So after they get this all the values, they try to produce a spatial map. So in the spatial map, you can clearly see the vulnerable zones. Okay, as you can see, this is the different classification like excellent, good, medium, poor, and very poor. And you can see that this is your uh, the alarming area, that this area is not suitable for the irrigation, but the rest of the area is moderate to good condition for the irrigation. Okay, and yeah, this is the outcome of the first case study. And second case study, these are the background, like similarly to assess the water quality for irrigation. The study area South India, but it is concentrated on the Pondicherry region. And the method, again, they use the geochemistry, indices, geochemical plot, GIS, and statistics. Okay, and the outcome, again, they identify the vulnerable zone for irrigation water quality. Okay, study area is completely different from the first case study, that is the Villupuram region. Here, the Pondicherry, it is in the coastal tract. Okay, there is a high possible for the coastal influence, like a seawater intrusion, that is very common in this region. And you can also see the land use patterns. Okay, so one of the key reason why I picked this topic, because you can see the land use pattern. This region is mostly covered by agriculture. That means that agriculture is a very dominant process that really uh, affects the water quality. Okay, so that's why this study has been put forward. And the methods I already mentioned, that you're using water quality indices, plots, GIS, and statistics. And this is the results, chemical results. You can see here all the parameter has been analyzed according to four seasons. Okay, and these are some of the geochemical plots. Okay, this is for the SAR versus sodium. You can see the plotting of the sample. They already put some domains like excellent category, good, and permissible. This is for the RSC, so residual sodium carbonate, and you can see this is excellent to bad, and excellent SAR, bad SAR, good SAR, bad RSC, permissible SAR, and bad RSC. So they categorize based upon the indices, and you could also see the distribution. From that you can identify the status of the quality, and this is the one the between the sodium hazard and the sanitary hazard, like USSL plots, which I discussed earlier. And this will also show you some kind of a trend of the samples. From that you can easily identify the distribution and also the classification of the samples. So they again use these statistics, particularly the factor analysis. You can see that there are three factors in each season. So from that they identify the key factors. The key factors is of course the seawater intrusion may be the one of the reason of the chemical composition, because it is the coastal tract. There should be some influence from the agriculture activity and the other influence too. And this is the findings they use in the GIS, and they use some overall classification of the water quality. As you can see here, these are different seasons, and these are the classification: excellent, good, permissible, doubtful, unsuitable. Again, keep it in mind, this final outcome of this map has been produced from the individual indices. Okay, as I mentioned to you, they created a different plots. After that they overlay each and every plots, then they can identify the final the irrigation quality map. So from that you can see how it spatially vary and temporally vary. Okay, in terms of spatial distribution, you clearly identify the hotspots. Okay, and you can also see the temporal variations, how the pollution has been changing according to the seasons. Okay, and this one you can consider as outcomes. And yes, and based upon these two case studies, this the learning outcomes from the case studies. It was identified the water quality indices along with the GIS and statistics are the powerful tools for the irrigation suitability studies. Okay, so from that this is the end of the part 3, and thank you for listening. I hope that this particular course will give you some idea and understanding about the water quality related to the irrigation, and all the possible methods has been used for the studies. And there are some potential studies has been done, and still there are some studies has been ongoing, that giving the importance of this particular research area. So with that all, I conclude this particular course, and thank you and all the best.